Alrighty. Hi guys, how are we doing tonight? Alright, I think everything is good on this end. So, let me zip up to the top here and say hi. I gotta do this. Okay, now I think we're ready. Okay, so hi there, Cynthia. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Mina. Hi, Night Owl. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Estella. Hi, Michael. Hi, Larry. Glad you can make it tonight. Hi, Christy. Awesome. So welcome to tonight's live stream. Thanks for being here. We are going to finish up this project of a realistic cat and flowers. But the craziness for this project is that we burned it with two different burners. We drew a line right down the middle, and we burned the left-hand side with the Walnut Hollow Creative Versa-Tool and the right-hand side with the Razertip. So we're kind of trying to blend them a little bit and see how each one handles a little bit differently. Also, if you're new here, make sure that if you want to join in the chat, you need to have a YouTube account and be signed in, and then will let you chat over there with everybody else and ask questions if you'd like. So, okay, so I was kind of taking a look at this before we got started here. A couple changes that I'd like to do before we keep moving on. I do think I need to pull some shadows down on the upper part of the eyes. He's kind of like a little bug-eyed cat. So we're going to drop some shadows down, just pull some gradients down in those eyes, and that will help. I also think that my kitty nose is a little bit too narrow versus this one. It kind of flares out a little bit wider here, and my cat has a very thin nose. So I think if we kind of expand that out a little bit, that will help. And anyway, there's a couple things that have been bothering me. I also want to darken up in here a little more and kind of pull some of this darkness over, and then we'll just start jump into these flowers. So Mina is asking how the fires are. They are big. The one fire is the 5th largest in Colorado state history now, and so that's the one that actively threatens us, but the firefighters are doing a great job with what they can. Fortunately, we have had some weather that is more conducive to putting out fires instead of spreading them, and so that helps as well. We have some other ones popping up around us in the state, but that right now they're not a concern. So we do have an evacuation zone set up, but we have not, been told to prepare or anything like that. So, yeah, unfortunately, the fire that's nearest took 5 homes, which is very sad. And I pray for the people that lost their homes. Very, very small communities here. So I know everybody's rallying to try to help out with them. So. Cynthia says you saw firefighters from Maryland are on their way to help. It's amazing. There's like 1,200 firefighters working on this fire, and they're from all over the country. It's really inspiring to see. Hi, Terry. All right, so I might jump back and forth between one burner and the other, just kind of working on some finish up work here. I do want to pull the shadows down in the eyes to make them look a little bit, not quite rounded, but they seem kind of almost bug-eyed. They're, for me, they're kind of protruding out of the kitty instead of being more recessed. And so remember that when we want to push things back, we darken them up. Things that are lighter are going to pull forward. Things that are darker are going to push back. So by adding a touch more shading here up onto the top of that eye will help that eye to kind of recess a little more. Thanks everybody. Yeah, we've had some chokingly thick smoke here of late because the wind is pushing that fire right towards us and also towards our hometown. So it's all very, very scary. Yeah, we have not had rain all summer. No rain, which is wild. We usually have a monsoonal season and it has not happened. So everything is drier than I've ever seen. All right, so just a touch of shading there. If you don't like the word shading, think of the word gradient. We're darker at the top, lighter towards the bottom. We're just darkening that up a little more and pulling that gradient downward. And that is going to help that eye kind of push back and settle in place. So already it seems better. Alrighty, there's that one. And then I also want to kind of expand the nose a little more on this side and make it a touch wider. Kind of pull some shading over just a little bit. Thank you everybody for your prayers and well wishes. I really appreciate it. My husband is also joining in the fight with the firefighting, and oh gosh, he had just gone out working on this fire, and there was a miscommunication, and they about dropped an entire airplane of slurry on top of him. So it was, they got it wrong, whatever, something happened in miscommunication, and they dropped it like 100 feet away from him. So he says that was pretty exciting and kind of wild, but he's okay. Everybody's all right. All right, I think that helps kind of broaden out the base of that nose a little more. Okay, so I like that. Night Owl says, I heard that fires help pinecone seeds to grow. Yes, there's definitely certain kinds of trees that do that. I want to say, maybe not opinion, ponderosa pine makes me think that it helps, the fire helps to open those seeds. Let's see, I'm going to jump over to the Razertip. We're going to use this small round shader and do the same thing with that eye. Let's see, I am sat at a level 5, and let me get my scrap piece here. Whenever I work on the Razertip system, the pen and the heat, they fluctuate quite greatly. So I always have a little scrap piece of wood to, so you can see I've got ash all over everything. We've got ash coming in the windows from the wildfires. So anyway, I always do a spot test. See, that's way too dark. Let's go down to a level 4. Okay, that looks pretty good there. I'll go with a level 4. And the same thing, we will just take this darkness and pull it down with just some really soft shading. Pull that gradient downward a bit. And that will help everything to push back and look a little more recessed. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'm very sad about the wildlife out here as well. We have lots of critters, and they are not doing very well with the drought either. So just gently pulling that down a little bit. So I'm going up to the top, I'm setting the burner down, and I'm just pulling down and then lifting off. Just about like an airplane would land gently and then travel and then lift back off. That's how we get that nice smooth shading so we don't get those stop spots. And if you're new, the stop spots are any time that you set a point on the wood, travel, and then lift, you get a dot at either end. And so if you think about an airplane taking its approach to the runway and it comes down, you move in motion, you set down, travel, and then lift off, just like a little airplane. Or even if you've been on a swing set and you have your feet come down and you kind of skid them in the dirt and then lift off, and you come back and you skid your feet again. That one wasn't very smooth, but you get the idea. Just smooth back and forth and back and forth, and you always have that nice little kind of gradual set down and lift off to keep everything nice and smooth. So let's see, that's looking much better. So I'm seeing all kinds of things that need kind of a little bit of improvement, but we're just gonna keep on going here. And then for the eyes, to get that rounded appearance, make sure you add a touch of shading over here on the edges as well. And that will make it look more rounded. So if we have shading around the edges, it's lighter in the middle, that creates that more concave appearance. Okay, Lisa, how are the kitties doing with the smoke and ash? They're doing okay. They don't seem to mind it as much, or they'll stay in. Nina, this is where the magic happens. Awesome. Thank you. Alrighty, so let's take another look here. Oh, no, I don't want to get rid of that yet. Same thing, same point. We're going to come on over to this side, right here with the nose. And I think I need to broaden the base of the nose a little more. So a little back and forth motions. Thanks, Night Owl. We're getting there here. All right, so I kind of flared out the nose a little. I think that helps. Let's see, I also want to switch out. I'm gonna move to the spoon shader right here. And we're gonna work kind of in this side and darken it up just a little bit more. I'm on a level 5. Just not enough. Okay, level 6. Level 7. Okay, and let's go up to 8. All right, that ought to do it. And we're just going to sneak in here and kind of darken up some of these areas. Now it seems a little bit too dark. But that's the fun thing about this experiment. I don't generally work with the Razertip, so I need a little bit more trial and error to get the right temperature setting. But if you have, whatever tool you have, just really take your time experimenting with the different points, see what they're capable of, try them out at different temperature settings, and learning through trial and error and doodling is one of the best ways to learn, I think. Terry is asking, what temperature do you have the wire tip for doing the eyes? That was the small round shader, and I was at a level 5 for that one. Okay, and then we'll just bring over a little bit more shading here. So this spoon shader is really neat. You can kind of rock it up and get some fine lines, which is perfect for fur. You can also rock it down and get a little bit of a softer edge to it, which is great for smooth shading and blending. You're welcome, Terry. Sorry I missed your question up there at the first. And And then I think every time that we keep adding layers to this project, it definitely helps. And let's put in a little bit of darkening. I love to darken right here above the eyes. That also helps them to look kind of more deeper set. Okay. And let's see, we needed to kind of fix this corner here. I'm gonna drop it down to like a level 6, 6.5, and we'll kind of add some repair in here. Okay, and so I think we also need to kind of soften this edge here just a little bit too. And then I think I kind of, I don't know, maybe overburned a little bit in there. I think we'll just kind of leave it there for now. And we're going to clean up this edge, try to make it a little more defined. But I don't want to just draw a line right around its chin. I think that would be maybe too aggressive as far as creating that transition between the chin and the neck fluff. So we're just going to add another layer here. The darker value will push back and make the neck look like it's farther away from the viewer, and it will cause that chin to kind of push forward. So every time I'm putting the point on the wood, I'm using that back and forth, just airplane mode, swing set mode, however you want to kind of think about it. And then I can go back over and do another layer, and then just pull that darkness down a little bit too. The chin, or I guess, yeah, the neck area is softer and fuzzier, like more out of focus. And so I'm not worrying about getting really crisp fur strokes like I did up here at the top. And that's a personal preference on my part. I'm kind of trying to stay closer to the photo. If you want to do very crisp fur down here, that's totally fine. You can do that. But I'm kind of going for that softer, out of focus look down towards the bottom. And I know the mouth area here still needs a little bit of work too, but we're just gonna try to keep pushing forward here. Okay, so next up, let's switch over to some of these flowers, because my goal tonight is to finish this project. And then we are gonna move on to our steampunk themed peacock. So if you're new here, we kind of switch up subjects. We do a variety of different projects. Sometimes they go a little bit longer. This is part 5. So we've spent 5 weeks on this guy here. Some of them go relatively quickly, 1 or 2 sessions, and we kind of mix it up. So guys, for the steampunk peacock, this is what I'm thinking. He's going to be kind of big because of the amount of detail. This is going to be our next project next Friday, and it will be 12 by 16 inches, which is about one of the bigger ones that we've done. We've done the steampunk Sasquatch was also a big one. The really cool thing about this is we are going to be burning on cherry. So I don't have it all transferred on yet, but it's been at least a year since we've burned on cherry. And the cool thing about cherry is it burns pretty dark pretty quickly. So even though this is a big project, we should be able to expedite and burn this relatively quickly because of the type of wood. So I'm super excited, and I hope that you guys are as well. And that will be our project for next week. And then don't forget, the first Monday of every month, we do a complete beginner-based project. So that'll be a lot of fun. I agree. Okay, so, I better zoom back in. So let's work on these flowers. I am working with the spoon shader, and I think I'm gonna have to turn the wood. So let's do that really quick. And we'll just get this switched over here. Sometimes you just need to turn the wood so that you can utilize the position of your hand to get in all these tight little areas here. And then we gotta tape everything. It is, yeah, it's very intricate, guys. But I'll break it down into simple steps. We'll have a whole lot of fun. One thing that I'm excited about with that project is the depth, the pushing and the pulling to make those gears and everything really become three-dimensional. And then also because it's cherry, we will be adding color on camera. So we'll take our finished wood burning and it'll just make it pop off the wood, which is super, super exciting. And it'll be a fun project. Alrighty. So we are still a little bit kind of low temp on that. I want to create some nice definition around our petals. Still think that's like a 6.5 with the shading point. Sorry, spoon shader. Terry says the peacock didn't look that intricate from the smaller picture. Yeah, there was a lot of detail there, and I know when we did the wood burning of the steampunk raven, we've done a lot of steampunk themed things. Well, not a lot. This will be our third project because the gears are always a lot of fun. When we did the raven, I know you guys were talking about how it was maybe a little bit too small. So I will make it bigger this time. Okay, so we have a little bit of leaf structure here. We can put in some leaf veins. Now, it's a personal preference on whether or not you want to burn out into that little no man's land on the borders, but sometimes it's fun to experiment. Normally, I don't like to burn out here because you can see it is so different. It changes the darkness for sure, but it's also fun to experiment. So I have some vein structure there. Now we're going to add a touch of softer shading to blend it out. And to make it look like this leaf is receding behind this flower, we'll make it just a little bit darker. And our darks push back and our lights pull forward. Okay, so next we have just some light shading across this petal. The turkeys are kind of getting excited out there. So I'm going to kind of do things a little differently here from the reference photo. Instead of having this petal darker and in front, I want to kind of switch up that and make sure that my darks push back. I mean, you can do that, but just kind of for simplicity here, I want each petal that's behind to be a little darker. So it turned it out, we're more like at a 7, 7.5 here. Yeah, there was a turkey. They are just right outside the window. That's kind of their alarm. They see something that concerns them. So they are good little guard turkeys, that's for sure. You can always tell when there's something out there that they don't like. And they have very good eyesight. Okay, we're putting in some of these little fun things here in the middle of the flower. And then we're going to pull some shading from the center out. Just think about that gradient. And like we've done up here, remember that layering is important. This is kind of our first layer, just putting down some value. And then we can go back over and add some more layers, smooth things out, take out some of these little brush strokes as it is. Just gonna add some center stuff there. And I want this petal to be behind, and it'll be darker as well. Oh, wow. Tracy is saying, are the animals staying closer to the house while the wildfires are near? They just like it here. We put out a little bit of water for them, and everything is so dry that I think that they're really staying closer to the house because we have a water source. Otherwise, I'm not sure. They would have to travel a long ways to get water. Most everything is really getting dried up. So that would be my guess. I'm sure there's been a lot of animals that have been displaced from the fires. Some of the areas that have burned are great deer hunting country. I've not been out there, but a neighbor of ours said that they used to go there. Some of these areas have wild horses, and hopefully that they're doing okay. Are we getting foxes and bears? Not as of late. We've not seen many predators this year. Even like sign, scat and tracks. We saw a fair bit in the spring, but pretty much nothing. So I don't know if they've moved out of the area or what, because everything is so dry. We are in an exceptionally extreme drought, I think is what the news report said. We've not had rain. No rain. Which is crazy weird. Yeah, Larry, I am definitely very jealous of your upcoming trip. That is so cool. I hope you get lots of pictures. And watch out for those geysers. They are pretty cool, but a little unpredictable. Okay, so let's see. We can add a little more shading. It's not a very good hand position there. Okay. see, what else can we do here? We can start adding in some shading here and there. Cool, Larry. So I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here, just trying to utilize this chunky point in areas that I am not going to kind of get overburn or mess up. Okay, and then we can kind of pull that gradient down a little bit too. I might turn it up. We're like at a level 8 now with this bigger point. So you see how dark this border, like the bark area, burns? It burns really dark very easily. That's how cherry acts. So I'm excited for that next project and being able to lay down some darker values pretty quickly. Yeah, Larry, I suppose that is our neck of the woods. So our shading here is not very smooth, but that's okay. We have some irregular lights and darks in there with the fur pattern anyway, so I'll just kind of put in one layer here for now. Okay. So I'm still trying to, you can see the flow of the fur would, if it would carry on past the flowers, it has that arc. So I'm being mindful of the direction of my strokes here. I wouldn't want to come in here and, you know, block it in an unusual or maybe unnatural direction. So I'm keeping an eye on this general arc of the fur and trying to keep that for my strokes. Tracy, is it harder for me to burn with the Razertip than the Versa-Tool? Yes, it is. Just I'm going to turn it back down to like a 7 because I don't have as much experience with it. Trying to figure out which way I'm going to go. I know how to do what I want to do with the Versa-Tool without really having to think much about it, whereas the Razertip I have to consider the different points and then double check the temperature. So it just takes me a little bit longer to figure it out, although the Razertip can burn hotter and darker more quickly. So there is that little bit of a trade-off. So I guess it's just kind of personal preference, and I have been burning with the Versa-Tool for so long that it's almost just an extension of my hand, and it's a lot easier for me. I don't have to quite think so much. I'm going to try to do all that I can from this hand position, and then we will rotate the wood again. And then we can add a little vein structure here. And so it looks pretty simple, and then we can go back over and start blocking in some more shading. You don't have to get everything super realistic like right off the bat. I mean, this leaf is out of focus anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I find that my projects are most realistic around the focal point. I like, you know, eyes. I love wood burning eyes and want those to be more of the focal point of the project. So they'll be, you know, crisper line detail, more intricate details and all that. Whereas as I get farther away from the subject, my style loosens up a lot. That's just me. Kind of the way that I've always done that. I'm not as concerned with each and every little detail as I get farther away from the focal point, especially with wildlife. So that's something that you can kind of think about as well. And then another layer is always helpful to polish up our values. Make sure we get them right where we need them to be. And in this case, we're a little darker at the top. And then once you get that darkness in there, just pull it on over into the rest of the leaf. And blend it out. Okay, so then we have one more leaf down here. Kind of repeat a similar process, but in our vein structure. It's a little bit kind of dark there. I'll come over this way. Okay. And then I'm just going to lay down a little bit of shading along the center and then pull it across. Okay, also if you want more information as far as wood burning wildlife, definitely, if you don't have it yet, take a look at my books. I have 2 books out from Fox Chapel Publishing. The cool thing about this is you've got 12 different step-by-step projects, and I show how to, you know, there's a little gallery, and then I talk about how to use each of the tools. This one is the Versa-Tool that I like to use. I talk about some safety equipment. And then these are really handy to have as a reference guide, what you can do with some of the different points. And then here's a more in-depth one talking about how to make all kinds of different textures and all that with the Versa-Tool. Now I know that the Versa-Tool is made by Walnut Hollow and they've gone out of business, but you can still find these burners out there, and a lot of people have them in any case. So this is still my favorite tool to use. And then I talk a little bit more about the Razertip and some of the textures that you can create with those as well. Talk about different types of wood, and then I get into we got your basics, stop spots, and then kind of do's and don'ts of fur. So if you don't have these books yet, this one especially, if you're interested in doing realistic wildlife wood burnings, this is a very good resource. I oftentimes find myself going back over in my book to kind of take a look at things as well. So, and then there's 12 step-by-step projects that you can create, and all kinds of fun. I talk about adding color. So if you don't have this book, definitely take a look at getting those. You can get it on woodburninguniversity.com, and I will sign them. So you can also order them on Amazon, but they just come from someplace else and you don't get them signed. So anyway, there's a lot of great information as far as how to wood burn fur. I know we're kind of wrapping up this project, so if you want more information on fur, you can check out that book. I also have all of these live streams archived over on Mighty Networks. That is our paid platform community. It's kind of like Patreon, but so much better and easier to navigate. So definitely take a look at that as well. Mina's throwing some links in the chat for you to help make it easier to find these things. Cool. Alrighty, so I've turned the wood. Let's keep working on our flower here. And see, I'm still on the level 7. Oh, I gotta finish my leaf here too. And you can pull the burner up if you want to drag kind of the shading upwards, or you can pull it downward. Whatever works best for you is totally fine. Or you can do a back and forth too. Yes, absolutely, Night Owl. If you order from Woodburning University, I sign the books because I have them on hand. I have inventory. Thanks, guys. Yeah, the books are great. Thanks, Mina, for the links in there. I really appreciate that. So if you're new here, we have tons of different resources. There's a lot of great information on Woodburning University, plus hundreds of patterns that are specifically designed for the woodburning artist. So you get a nice sepia toned pattern like this. You get a line pattern. Some of the patterns have color, which is really cool too. So definitely take a look at Woodburning University. Awesome. Cynthia, I was looking at that tool from Plaid this week, and I was thinking about getting one and just trying it out. So I might just do that and give you guys kind of a sneak peek at that one, because I'm looking at an alternative tool for those users that can't get the Versa-Tool anymore. I was thinking that Plaid might have another good alternative. So even though I am putting in some harder edges here, as you can see with the flowers that we've wood burned up here, I want to kind of push my values and make those flowers really three-dimensional. So I am adding in a little bit more of these hard edges than you might see in the reference photo, but just trying to push the values a little bit more. And we'll go back and add some more layers on some of the these flowers here. But this is a good start. We're just starting into developing their shading. Alrighty, so we still have some more fun little center things here. They're kind of like little arches as they expand away from the center area there. And then we can do some long swipey things here. And then I like to add little dots and tidbits here at the top. Larry, Plaid. Plaid is a manufacturer and they make a wood burning tool. Excuse me. Wow. Michael, you have the Plaid and it works pretty well. Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking about everybody that might not be able to get the Versa-Tool anymore and seeing if there's another option out there to try. Alright, so we have our flower outlined and now we're going to start pulling some of our shading across. I do have more of a stroke pattern, so which just means you can see the lines right now. That's okay, we can smooth it out a little later. But I'm trying to follow the contour of each petal. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it's the brass tips, absolutely, Cynthia. It looks like the Versa-Tool. And they have some different kits. And you don't like it, Lisa. You're not crazy about the Plaid burner. Gotcha. Another thing that I was looking at the plaid burner is I'm wondering if it just has an on-off switch. Lisa, what about yours? Does yours have a temperature control, or is it just an on-off switch? Because a lot of the a lot of the burners that are out there right now just have the on-off switch that I've seen. So I'm trying to find an alternative to the Versa-Tool, just for new users. I personally don't plan on switching away from the Versa-Tool, but they're getting harder to find. Like Amazon is getting sold out of them as well. Michael, you like the Razertip P80. Cool. So I kind of like the way that this flower has the darker areas in the center and then it fades outward. Then I have a breeze coming in through the window, so that doesn't help at all. Alrighty, so let's go back over here and we're going to add another layer of shading and try to smooth this out a little bit. So when I work on shading to make it really smooth, a lot of times you'll start off with strokes kind of in a direction like this, and I'm kind of overemphasizing here. You want your strokes as close together as you can. Hi Kendale, welcome. Glad that you're here tonight. So I'll travel in one direction for a little bit and get that all nice and smoothed out, and then I will angle slightly off to the side like this and kind of cancel out those strokes, and then you can even crisscross and go back this way. It's a little bit kind of a mess here because I don't really like the Razertip. Sorry, Razertip. It's not you, it's me. And that just helps to kind of smooth out the shading a little bit. But generally, if you think of the stroke marks as your fingers, if you have them closer together, you're going to have much smoother shading. And then you burn this way, and then that way, and then this way, just ever so slightly different. And it kind of cancels out the strokes. And you can blend it and smooth it like this, and then it gets much better. So another pass, another layer, and you can see the difference here between one pass and another pass. It's much better. Let's see. Terry, yeah, it's not that I don't like the Razertip. I just am very used to the Versa-Tool. I just need more practice with the Razertip. They do make a very good product. It's more operator challenge at this time. So I'm still on like a level 7 here. And going over, gonna add another layer. I just keep changing up my direction a little bit each time, and that will help to smooth things out. And lots of layers as well. Thanks, Mina. Vivian, the thing you don't like about the Versa-Tool is you have short fingers and the tip is too far away for it to be comfortable. Yeah, and that's where I definitely have that little bean bag come into play. I find that So with this, you can see I'm holding, even the razor tip, I'm holding it very far back just because that's more of the way I'm used to burning. It's like I arc, I don't know, maybe more with my fingers. Yeah, the Versa-Tool takes a bit to get used to. Alrighty, so there we're getting some nice depth in that flower. You guys know me, and I want to push that a little bit. So I'm going to darken at the center a little more because I love dramatic contrast. And then I'm going to slowly pull that gradient outward. Now, if we added color to this project, I don't want to completely burn these petals. We want to leave a little bit of that unburned wood in there so that the color has something to grab a hold of. Otherwise, it'll just not adhere very well. So we're just kind of doing a little swiping motion outward to pull that gradient. If I can get in the right spot here. And then to help create more contrast, I want the next layers of petals to be darker. And pull it outward as well. Kendall, you got a Versa-Tool. Cool. Yeah, it's fun. Awesome. Lisa says you can't find the plaid. You think it's only on and off. The tips don't stay in. They're constantly unscrewing. Lisa, are you tightening them with the pliers? Because I struggled with points coming out with the Versa-Tool when I first started because I was just finger tightening them pretty tight, but it wasn't until I started using pliers that the points started staying put. Ah, gotcha. Lisa, gotcha. Okay, I'm going to really push the contrast here in this little gap. It'll make this petal really pull forward. You guys have a wealth of knowledge here in the chat. So if you're tuning in, definitely read the chat and take a look at everybody's kind of experiences with the different burners. You guys are awesome. I love all of the thoughts that you're throwing out there. So I still need to smooth out a little bit of the flower, but we're getting there. Trying to keep moving forward. But I do find that the Razertip side is a little bit, I guess, maybe more sloppy. It's not as tightly controlled as the Versa-Tool side is. But I think I could blend it out. It just takes a little bit more time. You guys were using the pliers. Night Owl, your biggest qualm with Razertip is they cool down too fast while working. That's a challenge for me as well. Wow. Yeah, I've been thinking about trying to get some new burners to experiment with, guys. So blending the transition between the super lights and my shaded area just a little bit here because it's annoying me. Just smoothing it a little bit more. Alrighty. I'm going to switch to a smaller point here just to get into some of the smaller areas, those nooks and crannies. I do like this small round shader. Right here I beveled it a little bit, kind of sanded it. So now I am on a level 5 because the smaller the point is, I find that I have to turn the temperature down. So I think I'll be able to smooth some of these areas out a little better with this guy. And the reason that I chose this project with both the fur and the flowers is because it's a great combination of fur texture and then smooth shading. So I figured it would be a good test for both burners. Okay. Vivian, you saw a burner melt in front of you. Oh my gosh, that's really crazy. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty scary. And let's see, so that helped a little bit with that. Try to do another layer and smooth out these flowers here a little. But that right there is, for me, the secret to soft shading is your layering. You just keep working on your layers until it blends and becomes smooth. Okay, so this is still a little bit rough, but we're getting it smoothed out a little more. Trying to keep an eye on the time, so I am working pretty fast here. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this sideways and we'll kind of smooth out this flower petal a little more. Spasming. Oh, and then, yeah, I need to get in here with this little guy. And this one here. All right, do another layer, smooth this out. Okay, I still need to do that petal, so I'm going to switch back to the bigger. Actually, you know what? Let's play around here. Let's with this guy. This is another round shader. And see, it's a chunkier point, so I'm going to go like up to a level 7 and we'll test it. Terry says you should make the spot on the flower a ladybug. Oh, that'd be cute. Be very cute. That's way too hot. Let's go back down to like a 5.5. That's still pretty warm. Let's go to 4.5. All right. Might not be warm enough, but let's give it a go. 5 it is. And then it's not enough. Back to 5.5. Oh boy. That's just me. All right, here we go. So this does give a bigger swath and a little bit smoother shading. I just struggle with some of the unpredictability of the wire tip burners is kind of my challenge. Meaning like the temperature, unpredictability of the temperature. All right, back to the spoon shader. Thanks, Cynthia. Yeah, I'm kind of jumping around here between different points, just trying to find. And so, again, this is one of my challenges with the wire tip burner, is it seems like I spend more time fiddling with the temperature and trying to get things just right than I do burning. Okay, so here's kind of our first layer. And we'll go back over, darken it towards the center, pull that gradient outwards. Okay. Let's take a little sneak peek here as far as how we're doing, because I know we're on the clock tonight. So let's zoom out and see how we're doing. Okay, so looking pretty good. I think we could add a little bit more blending on those flowers, but we're getting pretty close there. So I'm going to jump over to the Versa-Tool and we'll start working in more on this side. Try to pull some of this down here as well, and we'll go from there. Hi Jeanette, welcome. Yeah, Barbara, I think we're going to have to add color to this one as well. Absolutely. It just, some projects in my mind scream for color, and this is one of those, I think. All right. So let's zoom back in. And we'll start working on these lovely little leaves. look down here. Okay. So back to the Versa-Tool. Barbara is asking, on the left, will you be burning the flowers over the edge like I did on the right side? I certainly could. In the interest of trying to get this project finished up tonight, I don't know. We'll see if I have time for it or not. So with a smaller point, I definitely have much more opportunity for detail and putting the shading right where I want it. You are noisy. Okay. Thanks, Tracy. So yeah, let's see, we can create some little over the edge here stuff. Okay, hi Amy, welcome. You just started following the live stream, and you find it because you're left-handed also have a Walnut Hollow burner that sometimes the tips unscrew. Gotcha. I recommend that whenever you're using the Versa-Tool, even though I'm right-handed, I struggled with that very same thing, and so this one's off. But generally, I use needle nose pliers every time to tighten these. I'm not sure where they are right now, because my daughter uses them as well, but just cinch them down and give them a nice gentle twist to make sure that they get in there tight enough, because that is a problem as well. I found that when I was working with this big point here and I'd be working, it would want to unscrew. So make sure your burner is completely cold when you switch out points, and then snug it down gently with those needle nose pliers, and then turn it on and let it heat up, and then the heat will expand and it should hold that that tight in there. You can probably see I have like teeth marks from constantly whenever I take those points in and out, I use the needle nose pliers. So you might try that. Just don't exert too much pressure, because you certainly don't want to shear off the point inside the burner, which can happen, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm adding a shadow to this bud. I'm also going to try to clean up some of our first strokes got in there. And we'll try to clean up some of our edges around the little flowers here. So a lot of times when I teach beginners, I don't really encourage outlining. I guess there's a better way to say that. As beginners, I know a lot of times we want to outline, but something that's important to understand is there's a time and a place for outlining. This little bud here, the little dark part there, is all fairly dark. So I can put in an outline like this, and then I'm going to fill it in with shading, kind of like I did over here. Things that you don't want to put heavy outlines around would be like underneath the jaw, in here in the soft part of the mouth. This still needs reworked a little bit, but just understand that there's a time and a place for outlines. Outlines can either be very helpful, or if you're trying to do realism, they can cause problems. There's also certain styles that have more outlines than others, kind of more of a cartoony style, and that's totally fine as well. Just kind of be careful when you outline. Can either, like I said, really be helpful, or it can make a project more difficult if you're trying to achieve some realism. Night Owl says you might retighten it when it gets hot. True, yeah. When heat goes from cold to hot, it tends to loosen. Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Mina. Yeah, we also have a beginner live stream every first Monday of the month. And then our Friday night live streams, we bounce around between all kinds of different projects. I tend to usually rotate back and forth through hard ones or more advanced ones and easier ones, just because sometimes we can be working on a project for a while. This is week 5 of this project, so sometimes it helps to break it up and do a little easier one now and then. Thanks, Barbara. Yeah, the beginner ones are a lot of fun too. Okay, let's pull some shading down here. So even though I put in that dark outline, it's almost not quite dark enough. So I usually try to hide outlines in with the surrounding values. Put a little bit of shadow underneath that stem, and we're going to bring some shadows down along this side here as well. And then we're going to probably push the value of the fur darker around this little flower, and that'll make the flower pop forward and the kitty cat push backwards. Should I get myself with a straw? And we'll just fill in some of this fur here around that flower, and you'll see how the fur pushes back and that flower pulls forward. And we can do some cleanup work around the leaf. Let's see, Lisa is asking, will August 29th be the weekend? Oh, August 29th is the weekend of Labor Day, and Monday, September 1st is Labor Day. That's a good question. I don't know if we're going to have live streams then or not. Let me take a look and see. Yeah, I guess I should kind of forecast that out a little bit more. Thank you for that heads up, Lisa. I really appreciate that. I'll come up with a plan and we'll see what we're going to do there. So these veins, I want to kind of start at the main stem and then go and trail off, and that'll give it that nice tapered point that you see a lot of times with leaves. I'm going to take this leaf underneath the flower so it'll be a little darker. And then we can darken up some of these vein things here a little more. Because as we shade, we're going to kind of soften those up a little. So there's one layer on the leaf. We'll go back over, burn just a little slower, and build up another layer. This is kind of not the best hand position for me, but we'll just do the best that we can. All right, we'll go into no man's land over here. Let's see. See, Night Owl says you used to heat bolts up with a torch and then cool them really fast to make it easier to unscrew the bolts. Extreme change in temperature makes changes in inner and outer diameters. Cool. That's very neat. Very cool. Well, I know that water expands as it freezes. Okay, so we have a little bit of, I think this is cat fluff right in here, but it's darker, and so that's going to make these leaves pop forward. Wondering if I hear rain. That would be cool. Seeing as how we've not had any all year. All summer. Let's see. Amy, you mentioned the needle nose pliers and started using them and you think it's working better. Cool. Very good. Yeah, that was my trick because I experienced the same issue, that they would just not stay put as I was burning and I was getting a little frustrated. So I just grabbed some pliers and by golly told that point to stay put. And it's been fine ever since. I've not had a problem with them loosening since. Okay. All right, so let's work on this leaf. I think I want a little shading down here along the lower bottom area. And I did kind of get that outline a little bit dark, so to make it look just a little bit more realistic, we'll pull some of that darkness in and make a gradient, and then you won't notice that outline so much. So if you do happen to outline a little bit too dark, then just try to soften it by blending that darkness in until it looks more natural. Kind of like this little thing here got away from us, so we'll make it rounded. By pulling that in. So that definitely can soften some of those outlines if they wind up getting too dark. Right, so I definitely want to contrast here between the background and this leaf that I'm about to burn. But since this leaf is kind of tucked under that one, I want the top part of this guy to be darker. So I'm going to touch this up in the background and make sure it's dark enough before I proceed to shade the leaf. so here we go. We're just going to start pulling that downward. We'll do a couple layers here. Go back and start smoothing it out. And sometimes we need to darken up our line work. I think it might actually be raining. And all of our windows are open. Give me 1 minute here, guys, to hire a window closer. I'll be right back. Intermission. Hey guys, it's raining. Can you get the windows? I'm pretty sure it's raining. Yeah, it's raining. You gotta get windows closed. Help me out. Okay. Yay, it's raining. First rain of the summer. Okay. Come on. Okay, I still want the top of the leaf to be a little darker as it comes down. And then one thing that I really like to do with leaves is add a little bit of a darker edge down here. I think it looks like the leaf is kind of curled. Raining, yeah, Barbara. It's like, I think I hear something, but not sure. Hey, Lex. Can you get the windows out here, please? Thank you. All right. Because I think it's really coming in from the south. It might be getting the papers on the table. Yeah, I sure hope so too, guys. Just the fact that it's cooler and a little drop in humidity is huge help for the wildfires. Thank you, hun. Okay, so okay, we're kind of at a point to start blocking in some more of the fur down here. Yeah, we're supposed to have a couple days here of chances of showers and thunderstorms. So hopefully no thunderstorms and just showers would be great. Huh, wow. Yes, I agree. So for this softer fur, I'm rocking the point more flat. It's not tipped up very much. If you want to get more detailed areas, we'll tip up the burner and use that leading edge. If you can see like this, and you'll get a sharper line. If you drop it down, you'll get a much softer edge. And a lot of points are like that. So for the soft, fuzzy, blended area, I am holding the point almost flat on the wood, not quite. Thank you, dear. Yeah, I will definitely let you guys know as far as the schedule for the Labor Day weekend. We might have to adjust a little bit our schedule. So here's another quick question. Since we just got done with a big project, this one was 5 weeks, do you want to jump right into that steampunk themed peacock? Because it is a bit bigger. Or do you want to take like a week break and do like a really easy one? What do you guys want to do? Dive into the big one or do a little mini burn before we dive into the big one? Let me know what you think. So to help the cat look more rounded, we're going to shade on either side and then it'll be lighter in the middle. So we're going to bump up this area over here a little more and push our values. Make it just a wee bit darker. Okay. Let's get everybody's thoughts in there and we'll see what we're gonna do. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty, let's see. Larry says take a break. Terry says do a mini burning. Night Owl wants to go for the peacock. Lisa says take a break, start the peacock after Labor Day. Mina says probably an easier one between this one and the peacock. Barbara's saying that depends on me. Do I need a smaller one as a break? Let's see. Vivian says you don't mind the peacock. Hi, Donald. Is asking, is it possible to do a small project and also show a bit of how you would color this project? Michael is saying, sorry, I kind of blipped away there for a minute. I don't know why. I'm back. So today is the 15th. We will do a mini burn on the 22nd. The 29th, we'll probably take a break because that's Labor Day weekend. And I'll move my Monday night live stream slightly to accommodate for that weekend as well. And then Friday the 5th, we will start into the big steampunk themed peacock. I think that sounds lovely. It's a nice balance. Give us a little opportunity to get caught up. I could use a tiny burning. Yeah, sorry guys. Everything just shut off and then it came back on. So we're good. I'm back now. Okay. It smells like rain. That's really cool. It has smelled like sheep for a month because the sheep were here and usually it takes the rain to make that go away and it still smells like sheep. All right, hopefully everybody's back. Yeah, I'm back. We're all back. Okay. So I need to finish up a little bit of fur here. We are on level 7. That looks fairly good. Meow. Are you stuck on the table? Can you not get down? Hey, Lex. Can you get Swiper off the table? Thank you. She's our... I know. Hold on. Somebody's coming. And then are the boys' windows closed? And I need to have you close mine over here.
Hold on.
Okay.
The kitchen window is wide open, but I can't reach it.
Have your brothers help you, please. Thank you. Jeanette says solar flares are messing with the live stream. Wow. That would be crazy. I don't know why. Everything just kind of blipped off. We have Starlink, so that definitely helps, but oh, I hope so too, Vivian. Yeah, we used to get like 3 inches of rain in the month of July, and we've had no rain all summer. I mean, the rivers are drying up, the reservoirs are drying up. It's just crazy. Terry, yes, I can sure repeat again. So today's the 15th. We'll finish this project. The next Friday is the 22nd. We will do a mini burn, just something that we can complete in 2 hours. Then we'll take off the 29th because that's Labor Day weekend. The first Monday of the month is also a Labor Day kind of a thing. So I'll either push our Monday live stream back a day to the 2nd. I don't think I can do that. So I'll adjust. I'll pick up the Monday live stream. It might be the 2nd Monday of the month. And then starting the 5th of September, we will work on the steampunk themed peacock. So hopefully everybody got that information there. Cool. Perfect. Thanks, Barbara, for reiterating that. I appreciate it. I'm just going to block in the rest of the fur. Bye, Larry. Have fun on your vacation. Take lots of pictures. Awesome. Yeah, Mina, that's a great idea. We'll post an update on the Bear Den, our little online community. Wow, what an unusual smell, huh, guys? Not all you moved to Texas, they had drought and then flooding. Wow. Yeah, I think the weather's crazy. I need to get that toddler to quit playing with the weather machine, huh, guys? You know, like toddlers like to flip lights on and off. That's kind of what it seems like somebody's doing with the weather. Just crazy. All right, so I think I want a little bit more, we need some more shading down here. And I also want maybe a little more definition here around the flowers. So I'm going to darken up the fur just a bit more. Mina says the fur looks fluffy. Thank you. Okay, so you can see here as I start to make this fur on the chest of the cat darker, that pushes the cat back, and then these flowers start kind of popping and moving forward a bit more. and then this looks like it needs a little bit of a adjustment here. So I'm going to pull some shading across this leaf. Okay, I think that looks a little bit better. Alrighty, so let's take a little step back and see what we have here. Okay, so it looks like we have a leaf up there that needs adjusted, and then overall I think that the flowers on the Versa-Tool side are much smoother. My shading seems to be generally a lot softer and smoother with the Versa-Tool than with the Razertip. That's another main reason why I prefer the Versa-Tool, is because I do struggle a bit more with getting smooth shading with the wire tip burner. So this is looking pretty good here. Thanks, Jeanette. I'm gonna maybe add a touch of something up there. Hey, puppy. How's your eye today? One of our kitties has a weepy eye. I don't know if she got something in it. I can't find anything in it, but let's see. I'm just going to make an imaginary leaf up here. Boink. Oh, good news, bad news. I wound up having to use a table saw the other day to cut a large project of wood. And good news is I learned how to, turn it on and run a piece of wood through it. Bad news is it almost killed me. I know about kickback and all that. Definitely needed more of a tutorial from my husband before I tried to do that one. Fortunately, the wood took the brunt of the scariness, and I was okay, but I need a little bit more tutorial before I try that one again. Okay, let's see. Thanks, guys. Barbara, you're wondering about the dark background on the lower left of the cat. So down here, you want me to darken that up? We could do that. Absolutely. Yeah, I am so incredibly lucky. I knew to keep myself out of the way, but look what it did to my backside of my burning, because it snagged that and threw it at me. And then it landed face down on the gravel. So fortunately, the front of it just has a little bit of damage. Yes, I had eye protection. And I was standing way back, and it was terrifying because everything started shaking and yelling, and I'm thinking, this is not good. And I went to turn it off, and that piece of wood came flying. And it's big. It's like 22 inches by 11 or 12. So that was scary. But I was kind of between a rock and a hard place because I couldn't get that piece of wood to fit on my table. And so I thought, well, I've seen my husband run this thing. It'll be fine. It was not fine. But I knew that was a strong possibility, and I tried to just get myself as far away as I could, but kind of munched up my thumb a little bit, but I'll just try to be more patient and let my husband do that. I'm glad that I'm okay as well. Yeah, I don't like that. Give me a chainsaw. I can run a chainsaw all day long, but that table saw is a new thing. I have not had enough training with that one yet. Alrighty. Yeah, I think you're right. This will look better with it darker down here. And I can zoom in again if we need to. Yeah, thanks guys. I thought I about tore off my thumb at one point, but scuffed it up and everything's intact. But lesson learned, I'm not doing that again. And of course, you know, like nobody was home, so again, not the best idea. But I got stuff to do. I'm trying to get it done. Never be alone with a chainsaw. Yeah, you should not be alone with a chainsaw. I am a lot, just because, again, I got stuff to do. But yeah, so if you have a table saw and you're thinking about cutting a piece of wood down, because that's what I would do with this, or have my husband do, is I would probably cut that off of there. Know what you're doing. Don't do what I did. Yeah, I think this will look nice. Cool. Okay, so then whenever I have a black background next to fur, I try to keep it kind of fuzzy, kind of a fuzzy, soft edge. I don't want to put like a really hard line in there. Well, if you want, let's see. I'm going to turn that on. Hello.
Can I see what it looks like?
It's right here, yeah.
Thank you.
Barb, you got a mini chainsaw. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I have an electric chainsaw. It's got a 16-inch bar on it. But I love it. It's just fantastic. And pretty much just cut the trees that are on the ground. I don't like cutting trees that are standing up. I leave that one for the husband as well. He's really good at it. Vivian says you had to promise your brother you would watch tutorials when you put the scroll saw together. Oh my gosh, yeah. The scrolls, all of them. Those power tools you gotta be so careful with. All right. Cool. Yeah. Running a chainsaw is definitely can be an art form as well. And so this is kind of how I would approach a black background. Just block it in and then start filling, block and fill. I don't have enough room, maybe. A lot of times I'll lay the point flat on the wood in here if I have enough room, and that speeds things up as well. But you kind of need to do some blocking in first, otherwise you get areas burned that you don't really want to burn. Just go back and forth and back and forth. Generally with black backgrounds they burn with the grain instead of cross grain. It just makes it so much smoother. Yep, block it in nice and slow, lots of patience. Well said, Terry. A night owl, yeah, standing trees can become widowmakers as well. That's what we call, like a tree that's leaning on another tree, we call them a widowmaker because they are very dangerous. Jeanette, don't be in a rush to cut it off. You might like the negative space. I agree, and that's well said. Now that I've got some leaves up there, I think it's kind of neat. At the very top, you could also put in like a name. If there's a kitty out there that looks like this, you could put the names on there, a name. There's a lot of different things you could do with that negative space. So very, very good point. So trying to block in around here. Whoa, I'm way up there, aren't I, guys? Barbara, this is what you love about the black backgrounds is the, oh yeah, with the Versa-Tool is doing the black backgrounds. Yeah, they're so nice and they turn out really well done. Oh, Barbara, yep, a quote. That would be really nice to put up there as well. It's a great idea. So normally when I burn a black background with the Versa-Tool, I have 3 burners going. 2 with the shading point like this, and then 1 with the little pro point that I kind of made. It's shading point, I just kind of ground it down. I just turned it on. Oh, it is working a little bit. It's just a baby shader. But if you rotate out between burners, then it allows the burner to heat back up and then you can just move a lot faster. Otherwise, if you burn a black background with a Versa-Tool, you'll notice that over time it's harder and harder to burn that black value. And so if you just set your burner off to the side, supervised of course, and let it warm back up, give it like, 4 or 5 minutes, then it'll be back up to operating temperature and you'll find that you can burn the black backgrounds easier again. And by rotating through the 3, I can generally always have a nice hot burner to work with. And if you have a lot of black areas to burn, that can be a really big time saver. And try not to press down hard when burning these black backgrounds. I know they can definitely be a test of patience, and generally try to burn with the heat and not the pressure. I find that you'll get a much smoother end result. It's not going to look as spotty, but if you press down really hard, it can really get kind of speckledy and look uneven. Okay, so there's some other little tidbits up here that we could block in as well. Since I'm here, let's go ahead and do that. I know, Barbara, I've got to get these pro points done. I'm a little bit leery to make them right now because of the fire danger, because I have to do them outside because there's like pieces of metal, hot metal flying everywhere. So I'm a little bit nervous to try that now, because all of our grass is like crunchy grass. It's dry and crumbly. Okay. Night Owl, is the Baby Pro Point best at darkening? It holds the heat really well. I think it's on par with the Razertip as far as being able to burn a nice dark value very easily. Ah, Terry, you're getting rain now too. Cool. Barbara is asking if I have all 3 of the Versa-Tools plugged into a power strip. Yes, but that is the only thing that I run on that outlet. I've got cords going, from here to there. My computer, I have 2 computers, one just for the live stream that's only on during the live stream, and then my normal working computer in the background there. Each computer is on its own like power outlet, like the wall plug-in. And my wood burning tools are only plugged into their own source, because if you have too many things plugged into one outlet, it pulls the power down and your burners don't get hot enough. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's see here. Oh yeah, I like that. Great idea. That was Barbara's idea. Great idea. I love it. I could use a little bit of a blending aspect there. Yeah, I think I wound up buying, 40 of the shading points so that I could grind them down and make the pro points. Oh. Amy is asking what kind of clear coat do I use. When I clear coat a project, I use water-based polyacrylic. It comes in different finishes, so you can get either gloss, semi-gloss, or matte. I used to always do gloss, but then they kind of changed their recipe and it was too shiny. Like, you were having a hard time looking at the art because the glare was so much. So I switched to a semi-gloss. Night Owl, do I have a patent on that tip? I've thought about it. I have certainly thought about it. Everybody go, shh, don't tell anybody. Barbara, you've got to keep your Versa-Tool by yourself. Yeah. So we'll kind of soften this edge a little and maybe push this fur back. Hey. Okay. Take the dog with you.
Okay.
Sophie, out. Sophie.
Come on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Alrighty. Okay, yeah, we are out. Sophie, out. Go.
Sophie, come
Out.
Here. Come here.
Out. Good girl.
Come here, Donna. Sophie, here.
Now. Out.
Oh,
Out. No, take her out. Thank you. Okay. Buffering. Okay. A little bit, yeah. Okay, so guys, I think we're getting really close here. What I would probably do next, we're done with this project on the live stream, but moving forward, I would probably take the best of both burners and not just stick with the line. I would crisscross and I would start kind of jumping around. Areas that I think could use some improvement would be my shading on some of these flowers on the Razertip side seem to be they're not as smooth as I would like. So I would prefer to go over and hit this again, probably with the Versa-Tool, this side, and see if I can't even it up a little. But overall, this has been a really good project. Barbara, yeah, I'm really thinking about doing that. I probably should. Okay, well, I hope you guys had fun. Thank you for your patience. I know this has been a really big project, 5 weeks to get this one done. I still think it could use a little bit of massaging, but certainly not enough to warrant another live stream. So just to recap, next Friday the 22nd we'll do a mini burn, just something in 2 hours. Then the 29th and the 1st will be holidays, and the beginner project will be probably the second Monday of September. Okay. All right, well, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach me over on Woodburning University. There's contact forms and all that goods over there. So thanks, Lisa. Yeah, pray for rain. All right. Thanks again for everybody being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next week, and have a great night. Bye.